Hello everyone, my name is Jay Billings and I am the lead architect and developer on the NiCE integrated computational environment. This is my YouTube channel. You've probably seen a lot of my videos over the past couple years if you're back and suffering through more punishment. I'm going to show you very briefly today what we're doing with Bison. It's a moose-based application from Idaho National Laboratory. I'm going to show you three things. I'm going to show you very quickly how to create a moose input file or a Bison input file, how to launch Bison, and then how to generate static pictures using our visit plugins for Bison output. Now all of this is kind of quick because I'm trying to keep the video short. I don't want to have a 45-minute video like I did last year, so that's why we've broken up this year's videos in a series. But I think you'll see that we've got some pretty cool things happening, and in future releases we're going to have some other neat stuff like fully 3D support with visit, so you'll see your Bison output in the regular way you would expect. And then we're also going to hook Bison up to our reactor analyzer. You should check out Jordan Deaton's video for that one. So, with no further ado, let's take a look at NiCE. When NiCE opens up, it's going to look something like this. In the middle, you have a workbench area, you have a console at the bottom, and you have a transformation view for doing 3D geometry stuff. That's covered in another video. In the upper left here, you have the item viewer. And what we need to do to first use Bison is we need to create an input file. We can do that very simply by hitting the plus button and choosing the Moose Model Builder. Now, even though I'm showing you this for Bison, NiCE will work for any Moose-based application so long as it has the YAML input specification. I only have NiCE configured at the moment, this version of NiCE that I'm using, for Bison, but we're testing out with Relapse 7 and Marmot. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Actually, I already have one made, so I'm just going to use that one instead. This is one that I created when I was playing around earlier. And I double click it and it pops up on the screen. And Moose-based application is set to Bison. If I had the YAML files in here for Relapse 7, there'd be another check for Relapse 7, and then there'd be one for Marmot, or any Moose-based application. I can set my output file name here. I like moosemodel.imp. That's just my personal preference. Now you notice the view on the left has changed to show all of these different elements of the Moose input file, or the Bison input file in this case. So what we tried to do here was to have or recreate the same look and feel as Peacock, so the Moose developers using NiCE won't feel like they're using an entirely different system. So what we can do here is we can actually expand one of these guys. We can check it. We can open up the parameters and put different values in here. We can also add children to a tree if I want to put some indicators in there. Indicators, we can add a couple things to it as well. The different types of indicators pop up in the list. And so it's pretty simple to use. We can go down and do this for any one of the other blocks. Executioner, I can add a child there, I can put in time periods. Whatever I do, it'll pop up in the list. I can mark it as active. And I can add a child to time periods. And so that pops up in the list too. So it's pretty straightforward to use, and when you're done, you just click Save. Everything gets saved, and then you can generate the file by using this process bar in NiCE. And you'll see in some of the other videos of NiCE, the process bar is where you go to actually process things or produce output. This guy will also tell you when it's ready to process, or it'll also tell you if there's an error. So let's change process to write Moose file, and then hit go, and it's done. So this Moose file, moosemodel.imp, is actually out there, and we can use that to launch a job. I'm not going to use it to launch a job because it's pretty obvious that I didn't configure anything here. The truth is, I'm not a nuclear engineer, I'm not a Bison expert, so I don't really know what all to configure in here, and it would take some time. Now, if I had configured this correctly, we could just take this file and go ahead and launch it. Let's go ahead and take a look at launching a Bison job here. We're going to start by creating a Bison launcher from the menu. Remember just to hit the plus button up there. Bison is down at the bottom of the list, so go ahead and scroll down. Click Bison Launcher and hit OK. The view changes. There are a few more options here than there were on the last one. Now remember I said that we weren't going to use the input file that we created in the last step. What we're going to do instead is we're going to import one. It's a small one that I created. It uses a very coarse mesh and has a very short time step. It is the 2D example taken from the Moose distribution in the Bison directory and reconfigured a little bit. We can import that file by clicking the blue arrow. I'm going to go to a Moose directory that I have here. I'm going to go into the Bison folder, and I'm going to get my example, which I called input small. Now when I import this, the input file list will change, and my input file will be in the bottom. Your input file list won't have this many files in it. Mine has that many in it because I use NiCE every day. So you set your input file, and you hit save. Now we have to change the mesh. I'm going to use a coarse mesh. I don't know how coarse this mesh is, but the problem runs much quicker with this mesh than the fine one. I'm also going to set up the power history, and I'm going to set the peaking factors, which were already set by default. I'm going to hit save. A couple other things I need to do here. I'm going to launch it on a remote machine to show off that we can do that. I'm also going to go ahead and set it to 16 cores because my remote box has that many. And just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and set 2 threads. Now that my threads are set, I'm going to go ahead and launch the job, but watch this console when I launch it. You'll see some output pop up down here. This is the streaming console. Everything that NiCE does has the option of logging information, and if it does that, it shows up in this console. I'm going to go ahead and choose the process bar and click Launch the Job, much the same way that we did when we created the output file. Now a box will pop up and it'll say, give me a username and password. I can put that in here. You'll see there's already a little bit of information down here. And there it goes. So this is Bison streaming a whole bunch of information. And it finished. And NiCE is now telling us that it's downloading a few files. So it's getting another copy of the input file that I sent. It's also bringing back copies of the files that I sent it. And it should have pulled down a few more. Let's have a quick look. We'll click Output Files and Data and see what we have. So here is the actual log. This information here is the exact same as what's in the console. Now the console, for its part, you can expand it to full screen. You can also pull it up beside this stuff if you want. But I always leave it at the bottom. So I put it back in a little different position there. I can go ahead and check out the error log. I can check out different pieces. I also have the output file here. All of these are archived. They're in the NiCE files directory. They're in this directory here. I'm running a Linux machine, so that's why you see those slashes. Here's the actual command that I launched on the remote machine. And this is the desktop from which I launched it. Very simple. You set a couple options and you hit go. NiCE pushes the files across the network and it pulls them back. Let's take a look at the output of Bison with NiCE's Visit plugin. And using that's very simple. Let's click the plus button up here and we'll choose Visit Viewer and then we'll hit OK. Now before I go on, some of you may have noticed that the configuration down here with these two views changed. I did that in the break. It's pretty easy to do. You can just move them around. But anyway, talking about visit, what I'm going to show you is how we generate static images from a Exodus file or a silo file in NiCE. We don't have a full 3D view. What we do have is pretty simple to use though. You pick your output file, in this case the one from Bison, and you hit save. Give it a second to boot up Visit, and then you can choose something that you want to show. I'm going to choose temperature, and I'm also going to go ahead and add the fast neutron flux and hit save. And then to generate these images, I go to the process bar, I choose the option, I hit go. It takes a while for these images to be generated with Visit on the back end. We're currently working with some of the Visit developers to make this a lot more interactive, live, and quicker. But for now, I'll show you what we can generate, and then in the future, you'll get to see another YouTube video. So I hit the go button, and the console said a little something there. The Visit viewer doesn't have much to say in the console. So I'm going to let this go for a bit. It actually does take a while to generate these images. We're going to optimize the generation for these static images, and then we'll actually have the full 3D version in one of the later releases of NiCE. When NiCE is finished rendering the images, processing form will change to done. The status bar updates whenever the internal state changes. And I think we're almost done. Give it a few more seconds. And there she goes, changed to done. So let's, just like we did with the Bison launch, let's go ahead and click this other tab here and see what we got out. So we have some images here. This is what Visit generated. And we can actually go ahead and play through those. I'm going to zoom out again, and we can look at the temperature, we can look at the fast neutron flux, and it changes for each time step. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and it'll just run through these. You can also, if you have a whole lot of images and they're only of one type, you can also change the frame rate, slow it down a little bit, you can speed it up, make it go really fast. You can pause it, you can go to the previous one, and you can go forward. And again, as I mentioned earlier, in the very near future, this will all be fully 3D and hooked in to Visit 2.7. That's the demonstration. I hope you enjoyed it. I showed you how to use NiCE to create Moose input files, how to launch Bison, and how to look at the output with Visit. Again, we have a whole lot of really cool stuff coming up in the future, and we're looking forward to it. We think FY14 is going to be a very fun year. When you, if you decide that you want to go out and try to use NiCE like I just did, take a look at our wiki first. You're going to have to configure your files on your remote machine or your local machine in a certain way, and I've described all of that in the wiki article. The second thing I want you to do, if you go out and try NiCE and it doesn't work for you, send me a bug report. Don't just throw your hands up and say I'm done. Actually go to the wiki page again, niceproject.sourceforge.net, click on bugs, log in, and send us a bug report. That way we can fix it, and we'll work really closely with you to make that happen. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and email me. You can send it to jjbillings@gmail.com or billingsjj@ornl.gov if you have any questions. Have a good one.